it's quite simple for them to go to the NCC and the telcos and say ban the IP addresses for Twitter. But the fact that you have power, does that mean you should use it in certain ways? Because the major contention now is the Nigerian government is now being seen as notorious for banning things before having conversations about it. Various countries have had to speak to social media platforms to take off content which they don't like. And so the Minister of Information had said during NSAS, there were a lot of insightful tweets and Twitter didn't take it off. But the question is, did the Nigerian government request to Twitter to take off content which they didn't approve of, which they found to be threatening? That's questionable. And so secondly, if Nigerians complained about a tweet by the president and this was removed because it violated Twitter's policies, all the Nigerian government needed to do was call the Twitter has representatives in Nigeria and Africa. Remember that the founder of Twitter was in Nigeria in December, and at the end of the day, they ended up setting up shop in Ghana. Now, the question is, if they were in Nigeria, would they have woken up tomorrow to see the state security cordoning off their offices? So all they needed was to have a conversation with the platform saying, if you're going to take off certain content, then be fair to everybody and have this conversation. If they refuse, then you ban it. This happened recently in Russia, where Russia wanted to ban certain things on Twitter, and the regulatory body was unable to do it, but they had conversations with social media platforms and reached a middle ground. That's what's expected. We do have the Cybercrime Act. I think Section 24 covers crimes of certain nature, which I think the minister is concerned about. We do have the Terrorism Act, which I think Section 4 or 5 also deals with some of this. So you have laws available. But shutting down a whole platform in a country, and this platform is employing tons of Nigerian youth, it's not a good look for this administration. It's media censorship, and it's pretty much going to put a lot of young Nigerians out of work in a country where unemployment is high.
Yeah, I hear you say that the government does have the right to do so, but what impact do you think the suspension will have on Nigerians, not just the image of the country abroad, but just generally on our image in terms of freedom of speech and just freedom to be able to say what you think, well, not everything you think, but impacts? What do you think?
It sends a bad message to investors. The tech sector has grown so much in Nigeria in recent times. And so if you are banning platforms like that, it passes on a message to investors that your policies can shake at any point in time. And so if we come set up an organization in Nigeria, one policy in one day can shut down our business. And we've seen that happen over time. So this affects investor confidence, number one. Secondly, in media, this is censorship. This administration, through the National Assembly and several people, have over time tried to censor social media with the frivolous petition bill, which was called the social media bill, the hate speech bill, and many others which they have tried to. And so for the image of Nigeria, especially for a country where in October last year, Nigerians were complaining about human rights abuses, this just doesn't do well for the Nigerian image or that of the current administration. All they need to do is have this conversation before they carry out such. The president has a lot of advisors in the media space, lots of them who are actually experienced. They should advise him and tell him there are different ways to handle this. There are also legal ramifications. And so if you feel threatened by certain things and you feel it's going to incite violence, there are democratic and diplomatic ways to deal with it. Moves such as this are in tandem with laws passed by undemocratic governments. And so you see China, you see Iran, you see Egypt, you see what happened in Uganda before the election. So all the countries which the Nigerian government will cite as examples that have banned social media are not democratic. So are we trying to say that we are ready to suspend the constitution if someone's ego is bruised? So it's really horrible for the Nigerian government's image and for Nigeria as a country, and also affects investor confidence.
All right, IT expert, Mr. Andy Madaki, thanks a lot for joining us and sharing that with us.
My pleasure.